We're doing a tour of the Carr Square neighborhood. It's one of 79 neighborhoods in the city of St. Louis. We're at McDonald's. This neighborhood is named after William C. Carr, one of the first lawyers in Missouri who investigated fraudulent land claims and became popular with newly arriving immigrants. And he was a farmer and became a judge. There's the Gateway Arch. We are just 1 mile from it. This tower and building was most recently KDNL, an affiliate of ABC. They moved to Richmond Heights. On this corner once stood St. Peter's German Evangelical Church, which I've circled on the 1875 Compton and Dry map, built in 1846. That church is now in Ferguson. Loretta Hall Park was presented by William C. Carr in 1842 with the stipulation that it was to be forever used as a square. This was Carr School, the notoriously saddest thing about this neighborhood. It replaced this Carr School that you see on the 1875 Compton and Dry map, which was in the same spot. 16th Street became 15th Street. This school was built in 1908 and designed by legendary architect William B. Ittner, who has a star on our St. Louis Walk of Fame. But he wouldn't have a star if it looked like this after they built it. This was a branch of the Good Shepherd Center, a mission of the Evangelical Church. Then it was a daycare. Again, the nice newer housing. These are the Loretta Hall townhomes. There's the skyline with the old AT&T building on the left, Eagleton Courthouse, City Museum. Got the Metropolitan Square building, the Gateway Arch, the U.S. Bank building. There's a Lutheran church down there. This building here opened in 1973 as the Courtney Clinic. Then it became Affinia Healthcare, and it's been used as a food bank. This neighborhood and this area here was kind of the heart of Kerry Patch, as there were a lot of Irish immigrants, especially from Kerry County, Ireland, in the 1840s and 50s. Before that, John Mullanphy came over from Ireland. He met fur trader Charles Gratiot, who persuaded him to come to St. Louis. He made money in cotton, and some say he was the first millionaire in St. Louis. He had 8 kids, 7 were girls. He helped found the first hospital west of the Mississippi River, which was a log cabin here, and then it looked like this. Then moved and was called Mullanphy Hospital, and is now DePaul Hospital. He died in 1833. They owned this land, particularly Anne Mullanphy Biddle. She married Thomas Biddle. As more immigrants came over in the 1840s during the potato famine, they let them be squatters here, basically. It was a dirty area. The immigrants were poor. She died in 1846. Then St. Louis suffered a massive fire in 1849, the worst in our history. It destroyed 23 steamboats and 15 city blocks. They have a great exhibit at the Missouri History Museum. I'm only showing you a little of that. You can see the destruction here. That's the old cathedral in the background. They protected it. Thomas Target was a hero who was killed by a blast fighting to protect our city. At the same time, we also suffered from a cholera pandemic. Brian Mullanphy, John's son, actually died of cholera in 1851. He was the mayor of St. Louis, 1847 and 1848. He was very, very kind to the immigrants. Mullanphy School in the Shaw neighborhood is named after him. This is his mosaic at the Cathedral Basilica. Just north in Old North St. Louis, the Mullanphy immigrant home, built in 1867, was built with proceeds from his estate. It tragically burned down in 2023. The Mullanphy Quality Tenement, built in 1909, also just north of here in St. Louis Place, was also built from the Mullanphy Immigrant Relief Fund and offered quality, affordable housing for immigrants. He also helped found the Society of St. Vincent de Paul here in St. Louis. Right in here is where the St. Patrick's Parade came, right up O'Fallon Street here. It started in Columbus Square. This is a picture from 1874. So in 1850, we had about 11,000 Irish, and by 1860, about 26,000. In comparison, New York had 133,000 in 1850 and 203,000 in 1860, as most were too poor to move beyond the East Coast. 25% of the population was Irish, 25% German also there. Also Boston, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Baltimore, cities like that had a lot of Irish come over. So we also had our own version of Gangs of New York, if you've seen that movie. The Know Nothing Party, also known as the Native American Party, were anti-Catholic and anti-Irish. They would say, "I know nothing," is how they got their name. There was a riot here in 1854. 10 people were killed. 93 buildings were damaged. Anyhow, there was no parade from World War I until 1970, and that is when the parade on Market Street started. Then a few years later, the Hibernians started another one, which is now in Dogtown.
kiss. Mrs. Robinson. Yes.
Some people who lived here were Phelim O'Toole. He lived in Kerry Patch. He was a hero of the Southern Hotel fire, which was downtown where this marker is. He saved at least 12 women. He died a few years later from a different accident when an extinguisher exploded. William Marion Reedy lived here in Kerry Patch. He was an editor who published works for people like Tennessee Williams, Kate Chopin, Sarah Teasdale, and T.S. Eliot. King Baggett lived in here. He was a star of the silent film era. This was from the Hawks Trail. And the Cheater. Those are a couple examples. He has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And some nice brick there you always see in St. Louis. Those are the basketball courts at Murphy Park. Here we are again looking at the old Kerry Patch area in the heart of Carr Square. Fascinating to me, honestly. This opened in 2014. These are Cahill House Apartments at Murphy Park, which is behind here. This is St. Stanislaus Kostka. A lot of Polish immigrants started settling here in the 1880s. There you see the old Columbia Brewery with that Falstaff sign. The Polish Heritage Center is over there. St. Stanislaus is an independent Catholic church, not part of the Archdiocese. After a decades-long dispute, they were excommunicated. The one pastor they had moved back to Poland, actually. There's the Polish flag. Murphy Park is behind here. That's named for Joseph Murphy, who owned a wagon shop in Columbus Square, a little further east. He was Irish. He invented the Murphy wagon, which was used on the Oregon Trail. On a side note, a different Joseph Murphy was an architect who helped design the Botanical Garden Climatron, and he taught at the WashU School of Architecture. And another Joseph Murphy founded Switzer Licorice right here in St. Louis. An interesting tale of 3 Joseph Murphys. Now we're on the other side of the church. This is now KIPP Inspire Academy, a charter school. This is DeSoto Park. This was the Pruitt Military Academy, built in 1955. Then Cleveland Naval Academy was in here in 2006, and they moved on in 2010. Now it's a charter school. Now right in behind here was the site of the former Pruitt-Igoe Public Housing Complex, named after Wendell Pruitt, a Tuskegee Airman who went to Sumner High School, and William Igoe, a St. Louis congressman who went to WashU School of Law. They were designed by Minoru Yamasaki, who also designed the First World Trade Center in New York City. There I put a box around St. Stanislaus so you can see we're right in behind there. These were built in the early 1950s, only lasted until the early 1970s. There you see the arch on the left in that picture. And you can see the skyline again, all new buildings since Pruitt-Igoe, with part of the arch on the left. I would have needed to be a little further north to be in the same spot as that Pruitt-Igoe photo, but we were still fairly close, where you see the arch on the left. This is like a futsal court. That's in downtown West over there on that side of the street. This is Gateway Elementary and Middle School, opened in 1995. On the corner of Carr and Jefferson here is where St. Bridget of Erin was, very significant to those Irish Catholics in Kerry Patch. Here I circled it at the very top on the 1875 Compton and Dry map, and this map circled it at the very bottom. It was organized in 1853, built in 1859, became more German in 1880, closed in 2003, demolished in 2016. Preservationists were very upset about that, and rightfully so. In 1871, their school was built with the girls run by the Sisters of St. Joseph, you see on the right, and the boys run by the Christian Brothers, you see on the left there. This was Central Catholic Community School from 1970 to 2012, the LaSalle Charter School from 2016 to 2023. They're the ones that demolished it. Now it's the St. Louis Catholic Academy. Continuing on Jefferson, this is the beginning of the Gateway campus. This was a new hospital. There was a dispute over the name, Homer G. Phillips' name, given its history in the Ville neighborhood. This was where the Good Samaritan Hospital was, founded in 1856, completed in 1861. It was the first Protestant hospital in St. Louis, and they helped the Civil War wounded there. And in 1910, it became the Good Samaritan Altenheim Senior Retirement Home until 1928, and they moved to Washington and Taylor. That's the St. Louis Fire Department headquarters over there in the Jeff Vanderloo neighborhood. Here you see that Falstaff stack again. You can see that's the brewery apartments now. These are the George Vaughan residences at Murphy Park as we're coming around. Again, very nice in here. Right in this area is where the Lafayette Brewery was, also very significant to the Kerry Patch neighborhood. It was demolished in 1937. And we're back at Murphy Park. Again, there's the basketball courts. And this is a Cardinals care field, one of several around the area. This is Lou Brock Field. And he can take that Cubs jersey off. He probably doesn't have a park in Chicago, but that's okay. He'll take the 2 World Series. He was traded for Ernie Broglio. And right over here was the German St. Vincent Orphan Asylum, which opened in 1851. It was administered by the Sisters of St. Joseph of Carondelet, home to 30 children after the cholera and fire left a lot of orphan children. And by 1900, 2,000 children had been housed there. That moved to Normandy in 1916. This is a green space at 18th and O'Fallon. And again, we're right in the heart of the old Kerry Patch from a long, long time ago. You can see the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge down there. They call this Preservation Square. St. Lawrence O'Toole Catholic Church was also near here from 1855 to 1948. It was demolished. Cram Fish, that closed in recent years. That's the Biddle Housing Opportunity Center, a government office. That's our tour of Carr Square. Thanks for joining me.